Hello, today we are going to be looking at the Aristotle Classroom tool. This is going to be similar to GoGuardian if you've used that in the past. The district has decided to make a switch because this tool is more functional and less expensive. So it's kind of a win-win. And it, in my opinion, is easier to use and more reliable from what we have seen. So to get started, there is an extension that does most of the stuff for you, so you don't have to worry about going to a website. And that extension should be loaded automatically into your Chrome browser. Now, to access this, you do have to sign into Chrome. Notice how up here on the top, mine is Nick Homer instead of a generic little person. If you see the generic little person, that means you're not signed into Chrome. Now, nicely, Chrome has added a new tool so that when your computer first logs on and you open up Chrome, it will give you the signal to log into Chrome. Now, if you don't know, logging into Chrome is different than logging into your Gmail or your Bmail account. So when you log into Chrome, it will automatically log you into all of your other Bmail and Drive accounts that you have through Google. But if you log into just your email, it is not going up and logging you into Chrome. So if you're using the Aristotle Classroom tool, otherwise known as the Borderless Classroom Educator is the extension, you're going to want to log into Chrome so that you can access it very easily. So now there's a couple of ways of using this tool. I'm going to show you the one that most people are probably going to use. If you just click on the extension, it will open up a new tab. And that tab says, Welcome to the Borderless Classroom. And it says to either select a previous class ID or to start a new one. So I have a class already set up. If you want to start a new one, you just type it in and hit start. And if it is a unique ID, then you'll be able to go right ahead. So it does have to be unique. And all of the classes have to start with the @ symbol. So now if you do have a class already set up, it'll show up in your drop-down window. So mine is @ and Lafort. I'm going to hit start. And so I have one user that is currently in my class. Now you'll see that that user shows as unavailable. So there's two ways that I can access this student's stuff. One, the student has an extension that looks very similar to this. The only difference is the student doesn't have access to create classes. They only have access to join classes that are currently in progress. So the student would click on that extension, which I'm going to do now in my student computer. And then what they will see is a drop down, and they select the @ and Lafort class. Hit enter. As soon as they do, you'll see that you can start seeing what the student is seeing. So right now the student is in the chat window with me. If the student closes the chat window or just opens up the tab, then you'll see what the student sees on their particular screen. So now, because I only have one student, a lot of these tools are going to look very similar to the whole class and the single student, because I only have one student in a single class. But if I wanted to message everyone in the student, I could type in text here, say, hello, send. And then you can see that in my activity feed here, we got a new message sent to them. The message pops up on the student screen that says hello. The student can then close that, and it'll go back to the individual tab. Now there's a little bit of a delay here because we are using the internet, so you can see there's like a 2-ish second delay. The other thing I can do, I can also send everyone to a particular website. So I'm going to send everyone to google.com. Okay. And now my student went into google.com. So that's very nice if you want to send someone to a particular place and have everyone in the class get there together. So other things that you can do with this, if I go into the individual student, I can chat with just that student. So if I need to redirect that particular student or give them some help, I can do that and just type that message. And then that chat you're going to see right up here. So again, I'll just say hi, which shows me as saying hi. The student gets a notification on their screen that they have a new message. The student then clicks on that message and they can say hi back. And so now we can have a conversation going here. I can view the student screen. So it is a little grainy, but you can get the basic idea of what the student is doing. So I'm currently in the chat window as the student. If I make my active tab the website, the Google, you can see that as well. I can close individual tabs, so if I don't like them being on the Home Essentials page, for example, I can close it there. Refocusing, I shouldn't have closed that last one, but you can either enter in a URL for them to go to, or you can select from a list of the current tabs that they have on their screen. So if you see a kid is, for example, on YouTube and you want to redirect them back to what they're working on, I can force them to go there, hit focus, and it will automatically switch his page back to where they were. One of the things that I really like that you couldn't do with with GoGuardian Classroom is the sharing your screen. So I can share my screen with this individual student, or I can do it up here with this button to everyone. And I can hit start sharing. Sorry, I need to select the window to share. Hit start sharing. And so now I get a little pop-up on the bottom of my screen that says I'm sharing my screen. And then I can see on my student screen that they are seeing my current screen. So now if I come here and I open up a new tab, google.com, I'll open up this, and you can see now my student is looking at what my screen is showing. I can hit stop sharing at any time, either from this tab or from the stop sharing screen button here. And then the student will go back to whatever they were on before. And then the last thing that is not currently available because we use a different website filtering tool is the blocking and allowing websites. So this is something that the tech department is looking into, and hopefully we will then be able to allow particular websites for that class period. So if for some reason something is being blocked by the filter, we may be able to get around that without having to go through the tech department to block or unblock. And that is only something that the teacher can do, so you don't have to worry about the students getting in and unblocking websites. So I'm going to close out of this single student view and back in the main class view. And here I've got the website filter, which will block and unblock for the whole class. Again, not currently usable. The share my screen to everyone in the class, and then testing mode is a really, really cool tool. What it does, when you enter the testing mode, you put in a website you want students to go to. So if I just say, for example, Syracuse.com, it will then force the students into Syracuse.com. So now they're currently in testing mode. Syracuse.com pops up for the student. It's going to take just a second. There it goes. And now if the student tries to leave this page, it's going to automatically reopen the page for them. If they try to go to a different tab, it will automatically reopen this tab for them. They can only get to the tab that you sent them until you end testing mode. So this is a great thing if you are trying to do some testing for students. So I'm going to end testing mode, and the student is still on that tab, but they can now close out of it and go to a different place. So the testing mode is no longer active, and students are free to do their own web browsing again. So then the last thing that I didn't talk about, and I should have talked about this right at the beginning, is if for some reason your students don't join your class, and that does not mean that they're not enrolled in your class, just that they didn't join that session, you can force students to join your class. So just hit force students, and then everyone that is currently enrolled in your class will be active users in that time period. So most of the time it's you have students join, that way they feel a sense of ownership over them, giving up the rights rather than having to force the students, which you can do if they are not cooperating. So you can force them into your classroom. So that is everything for the use of the Aristotle tool. To add students into this originally, there is a couple of things you can do, and I've only got 26 seconds left, so I'm going to stop the recording now, and I will do that as a separate video.